Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to break down my first week in Sarandë in our new apartment and give you step by step what I did, how I got set up, what the first week was like, and why I love it so much. So let's jump in. I've got my notes. By the end of this video, you should have an idea of what just a typical week looks like for me and potentially for you. If you don't know, my name is Cara, and on this channel, I talk about building a soft life abroad. So most of my audience is Americans, and I specifically talk to women. If you're single, you're a mom, you're in a relationship, you're married, you're a grandma, you're a retiree, you're a professional woman with no kiddos, any woman I'm talking to who wants to simply build a softer life. All right, so today we're gonna talk about the fact that I've moved in, all right, and I've got little Barnabas, and if you have a little noise, that's my washer on. I don't know if that's gonna carry, but anyway, I don't edit these videos, they're all one takes. So we've moved in, I've got the kitchen set up, I have my office, my desk set up, and also my teaching area. I teach mat Pilates, and the bedroom isn't completely done. I actually still have some plastic bags of clothes that I still need to put everything away, and the bathroom's done. There's like a linen closet area that is done, and I basically did, you know, that basic boring but like necessary bulk shopping of like stuff that you just need to like live. So getting things like olive oil and vinegar for cooking, and vinegar and Clorox for cleaning, and wipes and those kinds of things. So those things, of course, budget-wise always cost a little bit more. So looking at, you know, what do I really need to get? I am definitely one of those people that, because of this lifestyle, you need to be really mindful about when you go shopping, like you're gonna carry it home, because it's just me carrying it home, and I push Barnabas in his little carriage. But yeah, you have to be mindful when you live this European lifestyle, whether you're in Western Europe or Eastern Europe or certain parts of the world where you simply do more walking. It's beautiful because you're not getting in and out of the car. You're not also filling a huge cart full of groceries, and then you have to drive them home, unpack the car, put them in your home, and you feel like you live in like a warehouse. Like, none of that. So, but I did get certain basics just to make me feel like I have everything set up. So it feels really, really good. And I've already had some tech clients. That's one of my jobs. And I also have taught quite a few classes. That's another one of my jobs. So if you don't know, I make about 5 streams of income, and some of those are proactive and some of those are passive because I've done the work before. So yeah, I've been cooking a lot too as well. So I mean, I love eating out, don't get me wrong, but I derive so much pleasure from cooking, and the fact that, you know, when we're out, Barnabas and I, and we're walking around, it's so easy to just get all of the fresh produce and the fruit and cheeses and the eggs and bread. So it's such a pleasure to then pick up little things and then come home and make food at home. So I have eaten out a handful of times, but definitely I've eaten at home more. And again, I derive pleasure from that. That's not everybody's jam, I get that. And that's part of setting up the kitchen, definitely setting up the home. So in terms of soft life, let's talk about that a little bit. So get your, you know, cozy in, and tea, coffee, whatnot. Having a soft life, I'm gonna talk about soft life and cooking for yourself. It's really, if you don't like cooking, no worries. It is an art form, but it's definitely a way to nourish yourself. So if you look at your lifestyle, if you're an American sitting there watching this and going, gosh, I really want to live abroad. So much of the world does cook at home. So much of the world hasn't completely given over to the convenience of the West or of the American lifestyle. The drive-through, the buying in bulk, and frozen and you just reheat it in a microwave. Like, the majority of the world still doesn't actually eat like that. Some parts of the world have unfortunately adopted those conveniences, but at what cost? So if you're building a soft life for yourself and having those habits, you don't have to be, extraordinary in the kitchen, but simply, knowing how to make basic things like broth, grains, bases for soups and stews. And if you're interested, by the way, in I've taught cooking classes before. When I used to live in LA and Nashville, I taught a lot of cooking classes in person to mommies and a lot of women. So comment below if you're interested in some kind of cooking class or tutorial. That would probably be something recorded versus live. But anyway, comment that if that is of interest to you. So the soft life is really so much about habits and nurturing yourself. And so I invite you to, if you're moving abroad, like if you're not really into cooking for yourself, start with, really simple things like, basically like being able to make yourself a nourishing soup or stew. And, you just start with water and salt, and then you add in, maybe a meat, some veggies, a fat, maybe a carbohydrate at the end. So starting to adopt this way of being able to nourish yourself, because if you're not nourishing yourself from the inside first, then it's going to be that much more challenging to create a calm nervous system for yourself. There is nothing like being able to make a pot of something yummy and cozy and sit there and eat it or sip on it and know that you're actually nourishing not only your nervous system, of course, that's calming you, but you're nourishing your immune system. Comment also below if you're more interested in the nutrition stuff. If you don't know my background, for 30 years I've worked in holistic health. I'm a certified holistic health nutritionist and health coach, nationally board certified, and also I've been a private chef. I've taught cooking, and I've done health coaching for many years, as well as being just a simple holistic nutritionist. So if you're more interested in that, I do have another channel for just that kind of content. So let me know if you're interested and I'll share that. I don't have them linked to this at all. All right, speaking of cooking, frugality. Frugality is so gorgeous. And I grew up in a home where I had such a mix. My mom actually grew up very well off, and my father grew up on a farm, and so they're a nice blend of the haves and the have-nots, or maybe the focal point was about having, for that time, very nice things versus just having simplicity and function. And so I really am such a combination of that. I'm super frugal, I'm super into just repurposing things and reusing things, not because I'm into environmental causes, I'm just into practicality. But I also really like nice things. But as I've gotten older, of course, nice things really means experiences. It doesn't mean like some kind of like handbag that, is absurd, like a Birkin or something like that, or excessive jewels, or certain kinds of like clothes, shoes, cars, stuff like that. Like, not really interesting. For me, it's all about experiences. So when it comes to frugality, like the pants I'm wearing, you cannot see. I bought these pants because when I was in town, I was walking one day and I saw, obviously, there's a lot of consignment stores here, and I love going to secondhand stores. Consignment secondhand. And I thought, I have all of my like yoga pants with me, but I couldn't really think of more of a flowy pair of pants that I have to teach Pilates. And as it gets hotter, it's going to be more comfortable to have flowy Pilates pants versus like tight pants, more the typical like yoga pants. So I stopped and I saw these like cute, like there's a whole bunch of them. And I ended up going in back of the store, trying a bunch on, and I ended up buying these for 10 euros, and I've like not stopped wearing them. I'm totally in love with them. So this is the kind of thing that geeks me out. Like, I get excited to find something so inexpensive, but yet I love it so much and I get so much pleasure and so much use out of it. That's the same thing for cooking. With cooking for me is being able to just like go get something fresh and then come home and make something. The other thing is I love to do the cooking style, like I call it what you got, Chuck, like meaning like what do you have and how can you put that together and make something really delicious. Again, I derive so much pleasure from that. Like, that's exciting to me, is to like invent recipes and make up things. And this is all a part of the soft life, because learning how to nourish yourself, learning how to be frugal, learning how to focus on experiences instead of stuff. These are all things that you can do in your home country if you're sitting there in America, and then you can carry these things into your soft life. As we age, right? I'm dating myself. As we all age, we continue to refine, and for many of us, we continue to refine who we are, excuse me, and basically stop caring what other people think. Like, that really is the sum total. But when you hit 30, you're like, when you hit 40, you hit 50, it's like you really are shedding like expectations or what like people think of you, and like it's like, I really don't care, I don't have time for that, or it's all nonsense. And so part of the soft life is definitely continuing to refine like who you are inside, and refining what is it that you want and that you don't want. And so when we're talking about America and living abroad, there are so many things, unfortunately, in my home country that I just don't want anymore. I don't want in my daily space. And being frugal is just as easy being frugal in America as it is here. I think that because I have less stuff, right? I'm not a consumer, big consumer, but like because I'm in a rental and because yes, I'm going to be here long term, but I still like I'm not carrying like years of things. So there's something very pleasurable for me about just having less stuff, and also then whatever I do have being frugal and being very mindful about repurposing. Okay. Next subject, I'm just reading my notes. So I have decided to do a series each month. So my first series was Move With Me, like watch me move step by step. So if you're interested, this is gonna be the May series, and the focus is simply like my first month in Albania, my first month in Sarandë, moving in, life, setting up, working, making friends, teaching Pilates locally, etc. So, definitely, if you find this content helpful, please share it. Please subscribe and go ahead and comment if you know anything about algorithms. It's all about if someone leaves a comment that tells the algorithm, hey, this content could be helpful for someone else, and it helps expand it. So please take the time right now, comment, like, and please subscribe. And then share this. If you know any woman who is thinking about moving abroad, or who has already moved abroad and who is maybe needing more support around living abroad, like building a life, because so many people get caught up in the logistics and like all the technicality of like visas and health insurance and, you know, forwarding my mail and what am I doing with my banking, and all these things are important. They're all very important. But at the end of the day, once you've gotten these basic things done, how do you build a life? And how do you build a life abroad that isn't sticking within your expat circle? I remember living in California, and I remember this Norwegian friend of mine, and he always hung out with, he knew more Swedish people than Norwegians, and he would always go to the Swedish consulate. And I always thought, like, you move to America from Norway and all you do is hang out with like Scandinavians, like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe, I don't know, it's just like such an observation. But I remember that so strongly, and I have felt both sides of that, where I've lived in different countries. China, for example, when I moved to China, most of my friends, for the most part, were fellow teachers who were also expats, so who were foreigners. And when I started making, I remember Rainbow was her name, and Min, M-I-N, those are my two like closest girlfriends who were actually from China, from Shanghai. And it started to make my life so much richer. And I knew that that was really key. I have a bunch of other stories, but one other small one I'll give you right now is when I was living in Saudi Arabia, I was living on the eastern province in Dammam. And I remember making really good friends with one of the teachers in my department. I was head of the department, and so she was one of the teachers, and her name's Zainab, and she ended up inviting me over to her house. And this was a very typical family home in Saudi Arabia, where the men are on that side, the women are on that side. You know, at home you cover if there's anybody outside of like your family. She really welcomed me in and explained to me and showed me her culture just by visiting her home. And there wasn't a lot of family home at the time, so it's not like I was meeting a bunch of family, but it was so special. So this is my like reminder, please, 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 if you make foreigner friends when you move abroad, that's great. That's awesome, because you're probably gonna have a lot of camaraderie and things in common, or things that you're finding in common because you both moved abroad. But definitely make friends with locals. And that just means like being out and about and being warm and being open to possibilities and having conversations. Yes, that probably means you're going to be speaking English and they're going to already need to know some English, or enough that you can have a conversation. So yes, the locals that you're going to probably make friends with speak English. So that is an advantage, of course, versus you needing to speak the local language, like needing to speak Albania or Shepi. Leave it in the comment. I forgot how to say it, the name of the language. It's Shepti. I have to look it up, which is gonna be a focus for me, is to learn a lot of vocabulary here. So, but your experience starts to become so much richer by making friends with locals. So don't underestimate that. So wrapping that up, that point, May is doing a weekly video, and I'll upload this one today. And this is also Thursday. This is when I'm doing lives every week. I haven't been recording them and posting them, but I will record the live today. It's a part of the group that I have started, and I would love for you to join. It is a paid group. The reason behind that is so that you have access to me and to be able to ask me particular questions and have those more private conversations in the group. But also I want to do hand-holding with you to help you execute and make the move abroad. There's a lot of great services out there, and some of them are very fairly priced and some of them are maybe a bit overpriced. So it's a matter of, finding who you connect with. So if you connect with me in particular, I would love to support you on your move abroad, you and your family, or your marriage, partner, etc. Or if you're single. So within the community, then the paid community, having those weekly live calls, and then simply there's a lot of when I do email access, where then we're going back and forth and going over more logistics and being able to help you execute. So that's it. That is in the description if you're interested. But I'll still be doing that live, and I think that live call, like I said, I'm gonna record it today and post it as well. But I think that will give people more of an idea of then what the group will be about. So look for that, the paid community link. So what do you get? So basically, what do you get in the community? Like I said, more hand-holding, so that every person is different, right? Every couple, every family is different. So it really is about connecting with you, instead of just giving you like a general course that's like kind of covers a lot of general things. This is going from my coaching background as well. I want to work with you individually. So if you join the group, then I can help you more on an individual basis, because whoever else is in the group, obviously you're going to be able to share those kinds of questions, but you're going to get a lot of hand holding for a fraction of the cost. I'm charging $47 for the month, and what I encourage is 3 to 6 months in this group where you'll get the recordings, you get all the support, all the hand holding. So we're talking very, very inexpensive to help you move abroad. Now, if you do need a little bit more private, I offer one-on-one calls. They're 90 minutes long and they're $250. Yes, what do you get for $250? So there's actually a series of questions that I email you ahead of time. And we go through a lot of specifics about you so that you can kind of deep dive for yourself before we hop on the call. The call then is we go through a lot of those things and some additional things about questions that you have. And again, your specific situation, because my intent isn't just to help you logistically get on the ground. It's to help you, yes, get on the ground in the new country, and in a soft life country, non-EU. I talk specifically, and I encourage people to specifically go to non-EU countries. I know there's a lot of coaches and people out there, and consultants and relocation experts who are talking about Europe and going to EU countries. And there's lots of ways to do it, and that's great. And they offer that, and I offer something else. I specifically talk about non-EU countries. That is one of the tippy top things that qualifies as a soft life country, okay? Because you don't have to deal with all of the bureaucracy and paperwork that you would have to if you're in an EU. Does that mean you can't go visit your beautiful EU country? No, that's the whole point. You can still romanticize your EU country and go and visit it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, but your life is in a non-EU country. All right, remember that point. Okay, so now that you know about my group, you know about also the private coaching and what you get hand holding all the way until on the ground, but also then we're building a community so that you have me to help you. Okay, now how do you assimilate? How do you make friends? How do you start creating habits maybe that you hadn't before? How are you building? This is where my coaching comes in, my cooking background comes in, my Pilates background comes in, my ability to make friendship and community in new countries and new cities and with new languages. So I have over 10 years of experience living abroad. So I bring all of this to our coaching, either the group and or the one-on-one. Okay. The other thing is, in the group, like what I'm going to talk about today in the live is about specifically working online. I obviously work online. I've worked online since 2019. Remember, I moved abroad in 2015. That means I actually had jobs that gave me visas initially, and then I transitioned into working for myself and working online. So again, there's a lot of helpful information out there about, how do you work online? How do you take your current skill set and maybe move that online either as a private contractor or maybe as an employee. But that's literally my wheelhouse, and I have a huge contact list of people who then I can not only put you in touch with, like that's not the difficult part, but it's simply understanding then how then for you to make different streams of income online, starting with that first stream of income. To be able to, if you're not working online, start to do that. And then go see your assets as well. Like if you already have savings, or if you're selling your house or whatnot, if you have stuff that you then can sell, get rid of, and then have some of that float money. We can also talk about, what do you realistically need financially to have to make a move so that you're comfortable? Because the last thing you want to do is get on the ground and be like completely fried and super stressed. But there are ways to avoid that, and there are ways to project and prevent that. And that's, again, what we can talk about, either if you're doing private coaching or if you're doing the group. All right. In closing, why should you listen to me? Okay. Why should you listen to me? So you might be wondering, well, she's talked about a lot of experience. I'm wondering how old this chick is. Well, I mean, I was born in the 1970s, so do some math. I've been around the block for a little while, and I'm very content with the person that I've grown into being. I'm very content in my daily life. I would say that I am on the spectrum, a happy person. I lean in the optimistic, positive space, not just because it happens by accident, but because I've developed and I've built this part of who I am. Now, just so you know, when I was in my teens, I was super depressed. I was even suicidal when I was in my late teens. And I also dealt with extreme anxiety in my early 30s, to the point where I had agoraphobia. Like, I couldn't leave the house. So I had anxiety and panic attacks. So I've dealt with my fair share of mental health and emotional spectrum. I was also very unhealthy when I was younger because my relationship with food was terrible, and I really kind of ruined my digestive system, which affected so many other things. So it's not like, oh, I've just always been this happy, content person. No, I've actually really come from being not that in my teens, my developmental years, to creating a lifestyle through my habits, through my lifestyle. And those things that I built, that I started while I was still in the United States, I've simply carried on and evolved and adapted to my life abroad. So born in the 70s, you do the math, and I am an analog person. I love digital, but I still crave, like, I have my books. I love analog activities, and more post-COVID, for most of us, we want to have more in-person things. And so as much as I love working online and the blessing it is, I want to make sure that, I am building space into my day for analog activities, offline things. Why else should you listen to me? I guess I call myself an expert because it's not like I just moved to one country and navigated one visa process. I've gotten, let's do the math, okay? If you haven't heard me talk about this on other videos. I moved abroad initially in 2015. The first place I went was Bali, Indonesia, and the UAE. And I went to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Then I came back to the US, kind of finalized some things so that I could go abroad, like full on. That's then when I went back to, that's actually when I took my job in China. So I took my job in China, and yes, they secured my visa. The next country after that was Saudi Arabia. And again, I was working with a recruiter, and I got a job teaching in Saudi Arabia. So I taught in China. I taught actually yoga and English in China. Then when I moved to Saudi Arabia, I was offered the head of the department for the fitness, basically the physical education and health department, K through 12, for an all-girls private school in Saudi Arabia. It was an awesome job for 2 years. And again, they did all my visa work. Now, once that ended, that's when I knew I still wanted to live abroad, but I wanted to figure out, how can I do this on my own? I don't want to take another contract. So that's exactly what I did. I started working online. I took my teaching skills first online. Anyway, I'll go into this more into the live, the logistics, but the next place I went was Bali. I lived there for 6 months. I got my own visa, got my own health insurance, did all the logistics. After that, I went to Georgia for a little while. After that, I was in Thailand. After that, I was in Kuwait. After that, I was in Israel. After that, I was in Turkey. After that, now I'm in Albania. I've been to other countries though, I'm trying to think. Those are the, I don't think I missed anything. But that's basically the timeline. So everywhere I've gone, I've had to get my own visa, and I've had to sort out my own apartments and that kind of thing. And I moved multiple times in Turkey because I've actually lived in Turkey now for 6 years. And I still live in Turkey. I still have my apartment in Turkey, in Izmir. So first I lived in Istanbul and then Izmir. So my point is that this isn't my first rodeo, and I've been able to do both, where I've worked for companies and then I've done it myself, where I do all the logistics. And I just prefer the latter. I prefer working for myself, figuring out all the logistics. And that, again, I'm gonna say it again, say it with me, non-EU countries, okay? That is how you live abroad and build your soft life, because you can vacation in your EU countries, you can holiday in your EU countries, but you don't have to live in your EU countries, and you can still build a marvelous lifestyle with high quality of life, low cost living, figure out the logistics with healthcare, because yes, I, like you, need to make sure I have access to, even though I'm holistic and everything I do is mostly holistic, I still need to be mindful enough to have medical care if and when I do need it. So that's eye, that's dental, that's women's health, that's just general wellness. Like if I get sick. When I got COVID before, when I was in Turkey, oh, that's a whole story. Best healthcare ever, Turkey, best, okay? Remember that. So I too have to be mindful about like healthcare and all of those things. So all those things you can do logistically, more simply, with more ease in non-EU countries. All right, closing. Here's your call to action. In every your seat, it's called a CTA, call to action. Book a call with me, 90 minutes, it's $250, but there's a ton of what you get for $250. Again, it's pre-work, it's during, and it's post. So there's email support after the call as well. So I'm literally hand-holding you, and you can do more than, so what's the difference between doing the one-on-one call with me, the 90 minutes, versus the group? Well, if you just do the math, one 90-minute call with me, you get before, during, and after support for $250. That's a pretty good deal. The group is a little bit more, yes, it's less financially upfront. It's $47 a month, but that's why I suggest do 3 to 6 months. You're still getting, it's not like we do one-on-one prep work. So it's just that live call and you get the recording, but you do also get group email support as well. So during that, so they're both hand holding. It just depends on what you prefer, more of a group or more one-on-one. So I am asking you to definitely get in touch with me, email me, book a call, join the group. It's hosted on School, and let's get you moved abroad. Okay, girlfriend. The live today, it's Thursday. I'm doing the lives every week for the School group. 3 p.m. Albania time, which is 9 a.m. Eastern time, New York time. So 9 a.m. Eastern live, or 3 p.m. Albania time, 6 hours difference. But if you can't make it live, you can always get the recording. So I hope this has been helpful. So this is the first video I'm doing in May. I'm gonna do one video, one long form like this, per week in May, and you're just gonna be able to, again, you're just watching me live my life. I'm a working gal, okay? I'm not retired. I have, like I said, I have multiple streams of income, things that I proactively still need to keep going, and there's some things that I have that I've already done that are passive income, which is fantastic, and building more of that, of course. But I also have a senior doggy with me. I have a full life that I'm keeping going. I am not on vacation. This is like, I am not on vacation, okay? Although my life sometimes looks like a vacation. My family members are like, what country are you in right now? That's okay. So I hope this was helpful. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, because it does help my channel explode, because I want it to get bigger so that I can help more women move abroad. And my whole vision is, think of this as something you're gonna do for 3 to 5 years. Like, it's a bite out of your life. If you move abroad and you can heal your nervous system, pay down your debt, get healthier psychologically, physically, emotionally, financially, and then you still want to move back to your home country, okay. So my whole philosophy is this is like a 3 to 5 year plan. For me, when I moved abroad for 1 year. 1 year. I told myself, 1 year. And that's like a classic case. And I just was like, oh, I want to stay abroad. Like it was never a long-term plan. I've been abroad for over 10 years. Like I'm still like, what? And yes, I go home to my home country, to America, to visit my parents. My parents are in their 80s, so I want to see them as often as I can. And I have obviously family and friends too. So, but for me, it was never a plan to move abroad for 10 years. It was, I'm just gonna go abroad for a year. So what I encourage you then is to simply think, okay, I can do this for 3 to 5 years. Our family can do this for 3 to 5 years. We as a couple can do this, or I'm retired or I'm a professional. I can do this for 3 to 5 years. And you can build a life, you can build, if you're financially set ready, great. So then maybe it's a matter of working on your hobbies, like continuing to refine and develop, like who are you as a person? If you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, it doesn't matter. Like I follow one channel here, she's in her 80s, she's adorable. And I'm just like, you go girl, because you know, we only have this one life. So what are we doing with our time? And we live in this incredible time where we can put things like this on YouTube, make money online, and travel across the world and live in other countries. Like, it's an amazing time to be alive. So, call to action, book a call, join the group, and I will see you in the next video next week. Thank you, and bye for now.